All right, guys. Good morning. It is 9:29 a.m. here in Atascadero, California. About 61 degrees outside. It's a high of 84 expected. Let's do this just for today, September 12th, 2024. New Horizons. My life is well-rounded and I am becoming a more comfortable version of myself, not the neurotic, boring person that I thought I'd be without drugs. Is there really life without drugs? Newcomers are sure that they are destined to lead a humdrum existence once they quit using. That fear is far from reality. Narcotics Anonymous opens the door to a new way of life for our members. The only thing we lose in NA is our slavery to drugs. That's a good way of putting it. We gain a host of new friends, time to pursue hobbies, the ability to be stably employed, even the capacity to pursue an education if we so desire. We are able to start projects and see them go through to completion. We can go to a dance and feel comfortable even if we have two left feet. We start to budget money to travel even if it's only with a tent to a nearby campsite. In recovery, we find out what interests us and pursue new pastimes. We dare to dream. Life is certainly different when we have the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous to return to. Through the love we find in NA, we begin to believe in ourselves. Equipped with this belief, we venture forth into the world to discover new horizons. Many times the world is a better place because an NA member has been there. Just for today, I can live a well-rounded, comfortable life, a life I never dreamed existed. Recovery has opened new horizons to me and equipped me to explore them. Yeah, I like that. I relate a lot to this one. Because I have struggled with that, the back and forth of like, oh, I know I feel more enlightened and euphoric and more heightened, or something that you feel more confident or capable sometimes when you're high. But then a lot of times when I've been a daily pot user in the past, using cannabis all the time, and I really have my doubts that it's like a medicine, I've always kind of been haunted by those feelings and thoughts that I'm disrupting something better. That if I was clear-headed, sober, that I might be more productive, less distracted. Because there is something about like the artificially like creating this oh wow, there's like a scrub jay or something. He's got like a cool mohawk. He was on the air conditioner outside, now he's up in the this pine tree outside the window. Artificially creating those ups and downs by getting high and then coming down and then getting high and then coming down. That has fucked me up in the past. So the thing with the following through, and I relate to that. And I do relate to it's boring. A lot of times I would use when I was bored, or thinking it enhanced something, if I was trying to be productive, that it was enhancing my creativity or enhancing my sexual performance, or or creating happiness. So it is something that you feel like is helping you cope, but then you kind of see a lot of side effects. So if you're going to view it like a medicine, you got to be honest about those side effects. And I I just don't think it's drugs, and I group alcohol in with it. It's like, it's not healthy ways to cope. And recreationally, it's a very, very slippery slope for most people, I think, because of the risk of addiction for most of those drugs. Let me skimming here. You have to want that stuff, though. Of course, you have to want to like learn how to survive outside that lifestyle. To learn a new lifestyle, you have to want that. You have to be honest and keep acknowledging that's like a daily thing of like I'm gonna learn an alternative. And it's so hard when you've done it for years of like daily drug use or whatever, that it's even possible to have an alternative, that it's even possible to learn a new lifestyle or skill or how to cope. I'm skimming here. I like that term, the slavery to drugs, because that's kind of how it feels. It doesn't feel fun anymore when it's like, oh, I need it. Like even me, when it's like I have no money, I'm like, what can I do to get high? That's scary that my mind goes there. My mind still goes there. Because my brain is used to that creating relief. Because it's been like the primary way of easing my tension or anxiety. Sorry, I don't like to chew gum on mic, but I'm trying to not start gagging. Let me start skimming here. I'm lucky I've had hobbies since I was a kid. I had to develop hobbies as a kid because I didn't have access to drugs, and I was so restricted by my parents that my hobbies became athletic stuff on my own. I would go out to a field and throw a fucking baseball at a goddamn hay bale. Because I didn't have anyone else to play with. I would sit in my room and draw for hours and hours. I would go to the library and fill up my backpack with books. So many fucking books that it hurt my back and my shoulders carrying that home, riding my bike. However long it took me to ride my bike across town. It's something interesting, telling my parents when I would be home and stuff. I don't even remember how long it took me to ride my bike from the library back home. You would think that would have been burned in my brain. Maybe like half an hour or something. I'm not really sure. Music and listen to the radio, watching TV and movies. I would just try to do anything I could, skateboard and basketball, anything I could do on my own, or yeah, I had to create hobbies, man. I had to kind of engage with things I enjoyed to cope. And you have to continue doing that as an adult, and especially if you're trying to like be sober and create a new lifestyle. It's like you have to really be in touch with what you like and what you dislike and what you're relearning and building up and cutting out. And excuse me, I drank some coffee earlier too, and I'm just like, I want my milk back. I put milk in it, and dude, coffee just sucks these days for me. It's got to be like an espresso or a mocha pot is like the only way I can do it, and even that, it's like it can like upset my stomach, because the flavor for everything else just blows. It's so watery, and yeah, it was gross, dude. And now my tummy's upset for no reason because I didn't even enjoy the coffees. I just want my milk back out of it because I put milk in it. I drank a half a carton of half and half last night before bed. That's how much I like milk and dairy. And I'm trying not to eat like solid food like 2 or 3 hours before bed. And I was like, I felt shaky, and I was like, I want some calories, and I love the taste of it. All right, I'm skimming here. A host of new friends. I mean, I guess if that you're going to meetings, but I don't go to meetings, and but I have like made a concerted effort to, back in Iowa, I didn't make a huge effort to hang out with people, or at least new people, and out here I've definitely made a bigger effort. Still not always successful, but I think that willingness to meet with people, that willingness to initiate when you want something or need something, is super important to learn. And just learning boundaries within that stuff is really important too. And just maintaining that mutual respect of like, if someone isn't like, if they're signaling they're not really interested in developing that, you gotta accept it and kind of move on and be okay with yourself still, and continue, I guess, being open to new friendships or pursuing opportunities that will hopefully present or allow you to nurture new friendships. I don't think you have to just become the social butterfly and just be on the go and immersing yourself in tons of new environments, doing tons of new things. I think for me especially, and it might just be for a lot of drug users or addicts, that I think the isolation becomes pretty normal, and I think that's a huge part of overcoming addiction, is building the confidence in yourself and in other people where you're not like actively perpetuating or you're not actively fueling that isolation anymore. I think and part of the boundaries is like knowing how much alone time you need or want, versus like how much socializing do you need or want, and learning that stuff with a clear head and a clear mind, and that's what you need. That's what you got to do, because for me at least, like anytime I've gotten, buzzed or high, a lot of your kind of concerns can go right out the window. It's kind of the whole point of like that, getting high and numbing out. So then you're just not as like motivated to take action on some of the stuff. You're not as bothered because you're not really perceiving the issue anymore. You're perceiving something else, which is getting high. It's creating a different perspective there. So you go from like, I got to work on this stuff, to like, checking out, essentially. And so that stop go thing really correlates with the up and the down of like creating your highs and lows. You're artificially creating that stuff by just blasting your body full of all these chemicals from the drugs. I have a job interview in like an hour or so. That's on my mind. I'm trying to like be present here, but I am very like in my head still. Yeah, the stably employed, that's something I've definitely experienced. It's like hard to take something seriously when you're high a lot. And when I say high, I'm including alcohol, everybody. When you're buzzed and high on drugs, it's hard to take some things seriously, including employment. Some people will get high at work and drunk at work, or they'll be like hungover. I think tons of people have done it, and it's that's a scary, slippery slope too. Because you gotta survive, man. You exist. I don't want to say we unfortunately exist, but it's like I didn't ask to be here, and I have to deal with this mess that my parents kind of like forced down my throat. And that society has forced down my throat. All these people and institutions that were here before I existed, I must tolerate. I must learn to cope with. If I want to be healthy and successful. And part of that, like, is learning to survive and give yourself the capacity to survive with stable employment. And I think it's good that people move around a little bit, but too much moving can create instability also and break connections. And educating myself is something too that I've kind of wanted, but I just don't know if my brain can like handle some of that stuff. And it's really hard to know what you're capable of if you're just kind of high all the time. Because then it can be intimidating to like deal with some of that stuff, work or education, when your brain and body's used to being like high. And then you stop being high and it's like, no, I can't do it. I want to be high again. So it's like you never really learn how to like deal with some of these things with more of a clear mind and in a shared reality. Because when you're high, that's not really shared anymore. That's why a lot of people who get high, a lot of people who get high are only socializing with other people who are also high or who can benefit them somehow. I mean, we all do that, I guess, for friends, but I like specifically, it's like that's what my understanding has been, and my experience has also been more likely being friends with people who are also using drugs. And so that's kind of a weird, narrow, shared reality. It's limiting versus like kind of the more general reality of and that could be getting more relative and subjective too, because so many people are taking prescription pills too, and yeah, everyone just has different experiences, so it is just kind of like trying to identify like that middle ground or the common ground. It's definitely more complicated and difficult if you're just like high out of your mind all the time. All right, back to scanning this here. Yeah, I've definitely struggled. I mean, I think I already struggle with like some sort of ADHD, and I do feel like drug use in the past has contributed to me not following through very much. I think I struggle already with it, and then the drug use amplifies it, and you get a little more scatterbrained, or a lot more, and it becomes easier to like what's attracting your attention is different, and what is vital and urgent becomes different, and that can all have really dire negative consequences when we're trying to stabilize. And when we do start feeling hopeful or excited or motivated, and then we almost like are generating that like self defeat, and that can create a lot of doubt and instability, and it just like breaks your confidence, and you kind of need that stuff you need that confidence and motivation to keep going and to keep trying and to stay engaged and to learn and make adjustments. And if you're kind of checked out all the time, it can be kind of hard to get that momentum and traction. I think there is something necessary and vital and beautiful about just simplifying, streamlining your life as much as possible. I don't think we all have to be like whipping ourselves to become like millionaires or anything. There's something I think necessary and beautiful about simplicity and trying to have a simple life. I think that can be really healthy for most people. It's just kind of not what we're being told and taught. We're being taught we have to kind of like multitask and be very busy, and these things are necessary for success, and never enough type stuff. And I think that can totally contribute to drug use because of those pressures. And it's yeah, let me keep scanning here. I'm losing my train of thought. Yeah, I mean that's true with the finances too. I mean, I said it earlier. Like when you have no money in your account, I'm actually in debt. I overdrafted my checking account, and then I'm in debt on my credit card, and yet my druggy monkey brain, lizard brain, is saying, okay, that sucks, but can you get money to go get a pre-roll or a vape cartridge so I can get high? That's scary. It's like I'm getting hijacked. It's like it's straight up getting hijacked. That I'm like, I see all of my issues and problems and struggles and experiences laid out, and everything I need to work hard on to overcome. And I'm like, yeah. Can I get high? And that kind of like default of like, what? Overriding and superseding all logic, of survival in order to do this thing that isn't really necessary for survival, but it's like my brain is telling me it kind of is, because it's the only way or maybe the biggest way that it learned to cope. And so I get hijacked instead of like, I don't know what the alternative for like healthy people, what their default is, because for druggies, it's that default I just described. Like, oh, I need a break. I need to decompress with a joint or alcohol. And that just becomes a lifestyle all the time. And yeah, just snowballs, man. To put your finances and stability at risk for that stuff, though, it's really questionable, because it's like, is this really helping? How is this helping me cope if I'm going more into debt? If I'm willing to sell things that I kind of want to keep in order to have some cash so that I can get high or something, or baiting yourself with future talk of, well, when I get that job, or whatever it is, where it's like you almost like bait yourself into like, well, once this one thing is fixed, or this one thing kind of clears up, then I'll be able to go back to my old habits or old ways and feel normal again, or feel better again. And I think you really got to challenge that default thinking there. It's very automatic, and I think it can, because that is something we've practiced for so many years. It feels very normal, and it feels very safe, and it's kind of the opposite. So it's really insidious and scary like that. And then you have people who are now calling cannabis medicine, and I just don't know. I just don't know. I'm kind of in a gray area for that, but I lean towards it's not really medicine. Um, yeah, it's just, yeah. Because there's something between, like, when I take a inositol or ashwagandha, it's not like, okay, I want more, I want more, I want more. It's more of a necessity of like, must suppress the anxiety and the butterflies and the upset stomach, and must quiet the brain. Um, with alcohol and cannabis, it's been like, the pursuit is different because it's pleasurable, or at least temporarily it's pleasurable. Because then it can easily paralyze too, and I've been in both of those situations. You can easily get paralyzed from both. And I think true medicine, I don't think you're really craving it, and I don't think you're pursuing it like that. You're not obsessing about it. Um, it's like I want to feel better. When I think about inositol, it's like I just want to be healed. I want to be better. I want to be stable throughout the day. I want to be able to cope. With drug use, it's like I want to feel good, and I want to control when I feel good and how I feel good. It's just like a different, it's similar, but it's like a little bit different, because you're pursuing like pleasure versus like stability. So I think you have to be kind of like brutally honest with that kind of stuff. Because it's so fucking easy to trick yourself, especially if you're still finding yourself isolated a lot. And if you're struggling, yeah, if you're just struggling with, goddamn. If you're struggling with like access to treatment of whatever kind, whether it's therapy and medication and making friends, and if you don't have family support, just really struggling with like treatment. So you gotta like, if you have no one else, man, you gotta be there for yourself. That's kind of like the first step. That was for me, and I'm still struggling with it. Other people can definitely inspire you and put some fuel in your tank, but ultimately it's gonna be up to you to like fucking like dig down deep, dude. Just keep learning, keep pushing yourself, keep pushing through those dark moments. Yeah, I mean, I've been dreaming my whole fucking life, and that can be a struggle in itself, because when you do become passionate or interested in stuff, and you're just like, you're not privileged, and you don't really know how to like achieve that stuff or to hold on to it. If you touch it, you get a taste of it. Sometimes you don't know how to hold on to it, and the dreaming can kind of, it's fucked with me. It's kept me going in a lot of ways, but it can be heartbreaking, because it's like you want something so bad, or you see someone else achieve something and you're like, why can't I have that? Or if they can do it, I can do it. And sometimes that's not true. Sometimes it's just like a really difficult reality to accept, that it just won't be true for you. Just because someone else can run a marathon in a certain amount of time, it doesn't mean you'll be able to. Especially if you have like one leg or no legs, or it's just like, or you're in a fucking wheelchair. It's just like, Jesus Christ. It's like, so you can't put that pressure of like the dreams on you when they're like maybe not as realistic as you hope they are. You know, you might hope or dream that this thing is real, or you'll accomplish this thing, or be this person. And it's just really being it's kind of being like gentle with yourself, but also being like the radical acceptance of like what's really achievable and what's a good fit for you. And sometimes you have to like do a lot of trial and error to kind of find out like what that is and what it looks like. And it could be a fucking lifetime of that, especially if you're playing catch up. You know, I'm 36, like middle aged, and still playing catch up socially from like being homeschooled for so long as a kid, and then just like all the mental health stuff I've struggled with, and the financial setbacks and relationship setbacks, and just trying to catch up and just trying to like keep your head above water, man. It's a fucking challenge, and it definitely like can feel like you're holding yourself back. If you're getting high all the time. All right, what else? Let's wrap this up. Yeah, I mean, that's where other people, you know, fueling you up with their empathy or their interest, and it really does, those little stepping stones of, you know, it really helps create, you know, the belief in ourselves and the confidence that you kind of need as a human to survive, because you do need confidence to survive, and you do need to believe in yourself and other people to survive in this fucking society. It's just a requirement that we have to learn different approaches with. I think I'm very well-rounded, and that's something I'm really proud of. Comfortable. I've tried to pursue comfort. I'm just trying to be more realistic of what comfort is to me, and if I can afford it financially and mentally. I think for sure, like, the opening new horizons thing is true. Like, you have to kind of see other people accomplishing things to kind of get inspired, and that's where the people before us should be valuable. And it's really heartbreaking when it's like they're participating in something that's more harmful or destructive than helpful or constructive. And yeah, inspiring each other is really important. I originally got into recording the voice memos, the podcast, the whatever journal stuff, however you want to describe it. This stuff I'm doing right now and for years into the past, like, is to just talk about my experience. And it's been horrible. A lot of it's been really horrible. So the intent is to show and prove that I survived it. It's possible. I'm trying to prove it to myself. Trying to remind myself. Trying to remind others. And that's all I can do, man. That I'm more capable than I feel and think sometimes. So I know it's true for others as well, that they have a capacity. And I'm just trying to reassure myself over over and over and over. And I'm trying to give some reassurance to other people. I hope to entertain some people. My sense of humor is kind of like gone into hibernation a little bit. Over the past years, I listened to old episodes with Ashley, and I sound funnier and more lighthearted, and I feel like I've gotten pretty heavy and dark the last few years, just really struggling on my own. So I have to keep reassuring myself, and I have to kind of keep fighting to reclaim and refine that joy, and creating stability is part of that journey. I think it's hard to have a sense of humor and feel lighthearted, at least when you're just in survival mode all the time and just feeling like everything's just a struggle and everything's dark and heavy and things are falling apart, and where am I going to go? Where am I going to live? Does anyone care? Do I even care?
So I guess this is me caring. I hope you guys will keep caring too. Keep working on this stuff with me. I'm in it with you. And it's possible. It can be slow at times, but it can be fast at times. Sometimes it all just works out last minute. You just gotta keep putting the effort in and keep leaning on the new stuff that we're learning. And trial and error, man. And just keep fighting for your joy and stability. And just keep pursuing all avenues. Keep throwing that net. Just cast that net as wide and far as you fucking can. Alright, guys, I gotta go clean myself up and get ready for a job interview in about 45 minutes. So that's an interesting one. Wish me luck. I'll have updates about that. It's I feel positive though. It's just I'm exhausted by all the stuff I've gone through the last few weeks and the last few years, so I'm just like kind of ready for like a breakthrough and to like I get some answers and kind of resolve some of this stuff. So upwards and onwards. Thank you, everyone. I'll talk to you later.